Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern. Join me as I invite experts and friends to discuss a range of topics, from the factual and practical to the mystical and magical. Consider this your virtual happy hour filled with lively, authentic, and meaningful conversations meant to inform, inspire, and ignite your curiosity. Whether you are very real or super woo, this podcast is just for you. Welcome to The Real and the Woo. I'm your host, Lauri Stern, and this is another Mindfulness Monday. And as you can see, I'm in a different place than I usually am, although I've been in my kitchen before. I'm actually having some work done upstairs. And no surprise, today's episode is a little bit about the root chakra, and I'm going to be dedicating a much longer episode to just that and other chakras coming up. But today I wanted to talk about friendship, because I am just returning from an amazing weekend away with some of my very best girlfriends in Arizona. And we've gone for several years in a row. And this year we were able to go and celebrate one of our birthdays. And this is a group that routinely celebrates birthdays, and we go to happy hour. I've had them on my show, My Pickle Crew. So you might know some of them if you've been listening to me for a couple of years. And it's just so much joy, right? Um, but I wanted to start by talking about the root chakra, because as you can see, I'm not in my regular room where I usually record my podcasts and videos. I'm in my kitchen. And our root chakra, whether you know about it or not, governs our sense of safety and security, our home base, our foundation. If you think about, a foundation of any building is true and square, right? So the symbol of the root chakra is a red circle with 4 red lotus petals and a bunch of symbols inside. And I'll get to that in a longer episode. But the color is red, and it governs our safety and security, like I said, our sense of mattering. All right. So my hashtag is you matter. That is purposeful, because at a very baseline, if you do not believe you have every right to own the skin you're in and be here on this planet and matter, then your root chakra needs a lot of attention. But there's reasons why we literally get off our home base. We don't feel secure anywhere we are. There's this great book by John Kabat-Zinn, I believe, called Anywhere You Go, There You Are. And I want to talk about that because, here I am in my kitchen. And some people would be like, how can you even manage to record in this new place? I've been in my living room, I've been upstairs. The point is figuring out ways to be at home wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, is the work in the root chakra. So, coming off this weekend with my girlfriends, I wanted to sort of dial through the chakra system and why our wheels matter, why our internal instructions make such a difference in how we not only experience others, but how they experience us. So, right off the bat, taking a trip, so excited to be with girlfriends. I know them very well. And there was one person who hadn't traveled with us before. And we knew her, but she hadn't traveled with us before. But just right there, knowing that an extra person was coming on this trip, some people, not my crew, but some people would say, oh, I just can't go because of their own discomfort, their own insecurity with unknown factors, right? It's one thing to go to a place you've never been to before. That brings up a lot of churning in your foundation. But it's quite another to go to somewhere where you've been going plenty. And perhaps in order for you to feel secure, you kind of piss on that tree. You take a lot of ownership in that place. And you can't possibly imagine altering the structure of the foundation you've created within a group of friends to add and include someone else. So that's all about your imbalance in your root chakra. If I putting this on me, were to show up insecure, then my entire lens for the entire weekend would have been altered in that way. So if I'm insecure, and I have been, and who isn't or hasn't been, about money, this is a great example. And just this weekend alone, we're going to this beautiful house. We are wearing clothes that we enjoy that range in value from the very expensive to Target and everything in between. When we would walk in, to have our cocktail before going out to dinner, for example, and we'd all show up dressed up. It was like a Housewives episode without all the fighting, thank God. But you kind of walk in, you're like, oh, I love what you're wearing. Oh, I love your purse. Or, oh, look at your shoes. If I was still insecure about my own sense of style or jealous about affordability of other people's stuff, then I'd be not enjoying their outfits in the way that we are hopefully able to, right? I should, and I do, be able to appreciate the good luck and the budget and the style of others without putting myself in a less than category. Okay. Takes a lot of work. Like I said, I mean, I still find myself going there sometimes, but right there is an example of how your friend group, the greatest experience, this wonderful weekend you've planned, can churn up some things within yourself. And I'm just talking about the root chakra here. We'll get to other ones later on, weeks to come. There's so much to say. Um, in addition, just this example, if I were to show up this weekend feeling insecure about my ability to express my emotions. Let's say I grew up in a house where emotions weren't valued or people express them too much. So I tend to go low, right? So just the imbalance in between, were you raised in a place that valued the expression of your emotions, or were you called a crybaby if you cried? Or, I love my dad. He's on the other side, but he would make those statements, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about. I mean, raise your hand if you've heard that. I mean, not great to be raised in that environment. My mom wasn't like that. So I had this balance, right? Sometimes she went too low. Sometimes she shut up and shut down because everybody else in the house was all about their emotions and expressing them very loudly, to be frank. So, again, if I showed up still there, still stuck in how I felt about people who either overly express their emotions or I can tell they've got something on their mind and they're not talking, that really does still wig me out because I'm intuitive as well. It's increasing. So I always know there's something going on. So you might as well just fucking tell me because it's just annoying if you don't. So that didn't happen this weekend. But if I had been in a cringe about the ways someone's tone of voice resonated within me or their position of authority on a subject, really smart women, I love my friends. Um, and going to the place of where I have gone before around really authoritative, very intelligent, especially women, where I say to myself, "Oh, I'm so stupid, I can't possibly contribute to this conversation." In fact, I wrote a whole Substack about it when my friend Lisa passed away. If you guys want to go check that out, I'll leave a link in the show notes. It's a really, really good article, kind of written about this exact thing, just showing up, right? Wherever you go, there you are. You bring all of your shit with you, but you gotta fucking show up anyway. Okay. And I'm not saying this weekend was a push like that, but there was a dinner to which I was invited for her 60th birthday. And I talk all about that. So go check that out. Because when we're not in our secure base and our solid foundation, we don't want to show up because we don't have any idea of what's going to happen. So control is at play for sure. But how do we become more secure within our bodies? We control what we eat. We control what we say. We control our environment, where we place ourselves, with whom we hang out. And there's a lot of people that won't go out with people they don't know in a group. So And then moving up the chain. So the solar plexus is all about decision making, right? So we're a group of women. Where do you want to go to dinner? Where do you want to eat lunch? And thank God our hostess with the mostest, my friend Pam, she had plans, but with flexibility. So there's always those moments where a bunch of women are like, I don't care. What do you want to do? I don't care. What do you want to do? And out of the goodness of our hearts, we truly didn't care because anywhere we went, we were going to be happy and we knew it. But our inability to make decisions just about what we're going to have on the menu when we get to dinner might drive some people crazy. Didn't happen a ton, but it happens. Do you want to play pickle today? No, I kind of just want to go to the hot tub again. That was really fun. And, we had no trouble agreeing, but there's sometimes trouble with agreeing, especially when you're in a group, especially when you're with really high functioning, opinionated, and intelligent women. Someone might not get their needs met. And when you have every ability to speak up and make a decision and vocalize that, which also I'm touching on our throat chakra, of course, because everything's connected, and your needs aren't met, then you might take a hit to your confidence. They don't like my choices. They didn't like my idea. You might dial back and shut down a little bit or get pissy outwardly. Again, that didn't happen, but it has happened in other groups. I touched on throat. If we are not appreciating the sound of our voice, if we don't trust that we have the right thing to say, if we don't know how to say what we want to say, we blurt shit out and then we have to take it back if we're able to, and we have the wherewithal to understand that we've misspoken and maybe hurt someone's feelings. Again, that didn't happen. You get the idea. I won't say that again. It was a perfect weekend. But some situations aren't so perfect. And there's nothing better than being around a group of friends or family, frankly, to kick up and churn up all of your chakras, all of your woundedness, all of your limiting beliefs about yourself and judgment of others because you're judging yourself first. And that's how it comes out. So if I wasn't secure in my ability to express my emotions, and decide to do so coming from an open heart. I can't believe I forgot the heart chakra. Oh my God. So the heart chakra is the greatest connector between the upper and lower chakras. And when we really do come from unconditionality and unconditional love, then everything we receive feels that way. But if we were raised with conditionality, I'll only love you if, and in a group of friends, if you feel like you'll only be loved if you wear the shoes, you buy the jeans, you don't eat the bread, or you eat the bread, or you go down everybody else's rabbit hole because you think that's what good friends do and you don't stand on your own side and say, yeah, I see what you say, but I don't necessarily agree and here's why. So healthy discord. If you're wounded in your heart chakra, none of that is possible. None. And then you're moving up to the throat, how you speak your truth with kindness is impossible. If you don't feel valued, understand your emotions have value, understand your power, your empowerment, your authenticity and authority matters. If you don't believe that you are loved at a baseline and you don't understand the power and value of your own words, then speaking is really difficult. And not only that, but listening is really difficult. Okay. So, all the ways that we are misinterpreted by others is, of course, their lens. It's the earmuffs they're wearing. But when people are speaking to us and we misinterpret their words, that's all about where we have wounds within ourselves. And then the third eye is our vision, talking about our dreams and expressing them. And the crown chakra is just our ability to connect to anyone and anything outside of ourselves, and especially to what we can't necessarily see with our own eyes, but can interpret through the lens of universal connection, faith over fear. You just know what you know and you trust it because you're grounded, you have a solid foundation, and you've got trust and faith in the world around you. And in this case, the friend group around me over the weekend, that no matter how ridiculous and silly and laughing with no sound coming out till you have to pee your pants happens, that you are accepted, loved, appreciated for exactly who you are. So, if you're around a group of friends, you guys, and they do not love and appreciate and accept you for who you are, it doesn't mean they have to accept that you're an asshole. and mean and punitive and conditional. That's their problem if they do. But if you're around a group of women where you are continuously and routinely criticized, picked on, dismissed, misinterpreted, or misunderstood, maybe it's time to just take a look around you and notice, do they align with you anymore? The first work is, are you aligned with what's going on within yourself? So it's not always what we need to do in order to heal ourselves by blaming others. It's what we do in order to heal ourselves by starting to look inside of ourselves and why these people are bothering us, or why these women who used to be my friends aren't making plans with me anymore. Having an honest conversation with one or two of them. Hey, did I upset you? Do I smell bad? What is it? And is it repairable? And if they come back at you with just a bunch of narcissist bullshit that really helps you understand they never knew you in the first place or really don't like you at all, then you can just walk away. Why why keep sniffing up somebody's butt that doesn't want you there? That doesn't feel good, and we know how that feels because we've all been there too. So, great weekend. I wanted to talk about wherever you go, there you are, because that's so important to understand when you show up at the happy hour, you show up for the vacation, you show up for the birthday plan or the birthday dinner. Someone else in the group orders you to get the gift this time, and you really don't want to, but you do it anyway. You get to speak up and say, I really don't want to. Can somebody else do it? The way we say yes when we mean no in a group of friends starts to fester. And if you don't take care of it, resentment starts to build. And then it won't take very much at all for that same friend, for example, to say, hey, let's plan so and so's birthday and I want you to get the gift versus would you mind getting the gift? Even just that, you can look at this person and say, hey, I understand, you usually do it and you want somebody else to do it now, but the way you're asking me sounds like you're bossing me around. Could you change the words? And if she or he won't do that, again, maybe they're just not your people. But to get along in a group, we tend to acquiesce and do a lot of things that we might not want to because we do want to get along. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to turn into a housewives episode where there's yelling and screaming and all that kind of stuff. We know that's like way over the top and made up most of the time anyway. But how I wish I could get my hands on their chakras. Those ladies could really use some help. So, being able to feel grateful for the group you have or groups also comes from you. And some of you out there hearing this episode right now or watching me, if you're watching me on YouTube, may already be getting churned up within yourself about your own group of friends. Oh, my friends never go anywhere, or I want to go travel and they won't, or my friends can never afford anything, or they never compliment me on what I look like, and blah, 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 blah. Just notice, is that happening? And if so, where in your body is it happening? What can you do about it? And if you don't know what to do about it, that's what I do. I help you figure that out. It takes courage and bravery to be your whole entire self with all of your stuff anywhere you go, especially with friends. So we must come from that solid foundation, our root chakra. If it's leaky, if it's holy, if it's unstable and wobbly, no friends, no spouses or partners will fill up those holes until you do that. It's so important because if you don't start with mattering and really appreciating your right to own the skin you're in and getting clarity and humor about the ways you may need to shore up your base, switch some things around in your subfloor and basement, literally in your house or figuratively within your body, because a lot of the ways we are created and made have nothing to do with us at all. We come into the world perfectly imperfect, born to parents who are doing their best and using their lens to raise us. And what we're meant to do when we wake the fuck up is to take a good look inside at our own programming, however it was created by ourselves, by others, community, and decide, there's solar plexus for you, decide what's working and what isn't working, which creates a lot of guilt when you're making these changes. It creates a lot of fear because we're used to feeling a certain way. And what if I walk away from this group of friends? Will I ever make more? Start with yourself, be a friend to yourself. Tell yourself you matter. And if you can't do that, why not? And where does that hit you in your body? That's a clue that you've got work to do there as well. So go travel with your friends, be confident and welcoming and including others. Learn to read the room for sure. But if somebody's really hurting your feelings, maybe not in the moment, maybe send them a message later, let them know so you don't fester. Be ridiculous, have fun, compliment each other and mean it. And more importantly, when someone compliments you, receive it. Don't just throw it back and say, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you love what I'm wearing. I love what you're wearing." That is an insincere reception. Reception? An insincere receiving of someone else's compliment. It's one of the first things I learned from my teacher, Rama. How to give a good gift is one thing, but how to accept a gift is quite another. And boy, we all know how it feels to give a gift or a compliment and have someone throw it right back. We know they didn't listen. We know they didn't really embody it. And then again, that says all about their wounds. Keep complimenting them anyway, but let it sink into yourself. When someone says something nice to you, believe it. Let it feed your soul. Let it open your heart. Let it, soften the tension in your face and shoulders. Real friends, real compliments, given both ways. Do that, right? Giving and receiving does that in equal measure. So I hope I stayed on track for you guys. I tend to go way off script on Mondays, which is what I love to do. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about today, please leave a comment, email me, Lauri, Lauri, at customdesignedwellness.com. I will leave all of my links in the show notes below. To my friends this weekend, and you know who you are, I love and adore each and every one of you. I am thrilled that I giggled my ass off. I'm thrilled that my giggling made you giggle your ass off. I love the way we compliment and support each other. I love the way we give each other room to have some alone time if we want it, and to be real and raw and authentic and show up as we are and be accepted. It's such a gift, such a gift. And I know we talked about how grateful we are, but I just wanted to let the world know how grateful I am, not just for you, but for all of my friends and family and those who send me messages and who don't, and I know are listening or watching. Thank you. Means a lot. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy new moon in Capricorn. I wrote a bunch about that too. So you can check out all my things and sign up for my newsletter. Thanks for accepting my altered space today. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm looking outside and a big hawk just flew by. You know, Larry really likes that, and it's 12:25. So if you want to go look up that angel number, you go right ahead and see what it means for you. And I'm going to go do that and see what it means for me. So until next time, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And you matter.